is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Lions' newest quarterback, Tim Boyle, today. So let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we're taking a look at Tim Boyle, who the Lions signed last night to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal to what it looks like to be our backup quarterback position. But you know he's going to fight. He's going to fight for the starting role. He'll fight for the backup spot with David Blau as of now. And I told you guys yesterday that I would watch some film today on him, but unfortunately, I didn't get coaches film because it was preseason. I guess they don't do coaches film in the preseason. I don't know why, but they don't. So I have like the normal footage, which is fine. I'm just going to have to change the filter, slow it down, speed it up to avoid copyright. And I'll probably have to show a little bit less. So this is why we're doing it like this instead of the normal, you know, go watch the film type of thing. So a little bit different, but it's okay. You know, I still got my takeaways. I got my strengths and weaknesses, and maybe you guys will like this format better. You know, we'll see. Did watch all of his games from 2019. Unfortunately, there was no preseason in 2020. So this is actually like 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago, I guess, at this point. So it's been a minute, right? It's about a year and a half. It's been a minute since we've actually seen him. We didn't really see him last season aside from the 3 of 4 that he completed against San Francisco for 15 yards. Other than that, we just saw him take knees at the end of the game because they were winning. So hopefully that's the case with us, is that he can be that guy for us because we're winning by a lot, not necessarily losing by a lot. Okay, hopefully. But anyways, let's talk about Tim Boyle a little bit. We're going to dive into some of the things that I liked and I didn't like. Now, a couple of notes: 6'4", 234 pounds. Interestingly, the Rams trade with the Detroit Lions for Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff and Michael Brockers and the picks. They all, you know, kind of went into one. That became official today. And because of that, the Rams decided that they would take on the $2.5 million roster bonus that Jared Goff is getting for this season. That's what I've heard. So I guess basically the Lions are saving $2.5 million because he was probably going to be on a roster, which is what we signed Tim Boyle to. So it's almost like we're getting Tim Boyle for free. Mike Disner, my guy, I say you again. Come on, man. You just find a way. You find a way to make things happen. Or maybe we should give some credit for Brad Holmes there. You know, Dan Campbell. Let's talk about Tim Boyle a little bit. I'm going to start off with the things that I like about his game. So I went through, watched the 4 preseason games from 2019 that he played in. It was the 3rd preseason game that he became the #1 quarterback, where they went to him first. And of course, in the 4th preseason game, they didn't play Aaron Rodgers. They don't play starters. They didn't play Aaron Rodgers at all. But the 4th preseason game is where you don't play starters whatsoever usually. So he came out and he started that game as well. So he was the guy, right? He was the guy the last 2 weeks in 2019. But let's go through it, man. Statistically, he put up good numbers. We touched on him yesterday. 6 touchdowns to 0 picks, had the highest passer rating in the preseason, which is very impressive considering his college stats were not the best. But man, he's been highly praised by a lot of people. Some people believe this guy could eventually be the starter for the Detroit Lions, which is kind of crazy to think, but there is talent here. And there's some excitement that he will bring to his game that maybe Jared Goff doesn't bring, but I definitely can see the scheme fit that he brings to the Detroit Lions. So let's start off with the things that I like. First off, his big arm. Okay, it's effortless. We talked about it yesterday. That was what everybody's saying, is he got a big arm. He does have a big arm. There's no question. The guy can sling it. Okay, he can put it 40, 50 yards down the field with little to no effort. You don't see him really straining to get it down there. As he threw a baseball in the mid-80s, he clocked his baseball throw and it was in the mid-80s. That's really darn fast. I mean, that's really fast. So, of course, not the same sport there. Different ball as well, but he still shows the kind of arm, I guess, in some way. That's usually not how you measure it. This is a very good scheme fit. So, kind of like I mentioned at the beginning here, a lot of play action rollouts, a lot of timing, a lot of rhythm, and that's when he's at his best, which is very similar to Jared Goff. So, I can definitely see the scheme fit. Has enough athleticism to play in play action bootleg, get outside. He does really nice with the dump offs, you know, even when it looks like it's not there. I can definitely see why there is a scheme fit, and when I saw the strengths of Jared Goff and what he did well, it's similar to what Tim Boyle could do with the Green Bay Packers. So, I understand definitely where the scheme fit comes into play here for Tim Boyle. Very poised quarterback, all right? He's not going to panic. He's not going to, you know, not see his first guy take off and just throw it. He's not going to seemingly panic when there is pressure. He will stand in the pocket. He'll take the hit to deliver the football. We'll talk a little bit more on that and where the weakness comes into play, but definitely is a poised quarterback that will stand into the last second, which I absolutely love, and take the hit to deliver a pass for his team. So I absolutely love that. I like guys that, you know, don't see pressure and freak out and just throw it up in the air or take off. he will stay in the pocket. He'll take the hit, and he's got really good size. So, he's a pretty big quarterback to make sure that he can get the ball off where he needs the ball to go and stay on schedule with everything. But he does have a very quick release. It was actually I think it was through the first 2 or 3 games that Pro Football Focus said that he was getting the ball out quicker than any quarterback in the preseason. It was 2.2 seconds he was getting the ball off his hands, which is very, very fast. 2.2 seconds is a very quick release. He seems to have his mind made up on where he wants to go with the football before he snaps, which isn't always a bad thing. Actually, a lot of times it can be a good thing, right? A lot of great quarterbacks did that, but he was able to see that it wasn't there, refocus, and get the ball somewhere else. Obviously, you have to have good protection for that to happen, but it was clear. Like, he knew where he wanted to go with the football. He had a plan before he snapped it, and he did a nice job of not necessarily always snapping it, just steering right where he wanted to go. He would start one way and work his way back to the other, which is where he ultimately wanted to go with the football. So he's a rhythm quarterback. Just like Jared Goff to me is a rhythm quarterback, and we saw that on a 2-minute drive where he worked the ball down the field, and he got them for a touchdown before half. In a 2-minute drill, they scored 21 points in their first half. I think that was against the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken, but we saw that in those 2-minute drives. You saw the rhythm. 10 yards, chunks. The thing is, he's not afraid to take some shots, okay? If he feels like he's got a one-on-one opportunity before he snaps the ball, he's going to take a shot, and he's going to put it out there. He takes a lot of deep passes, which something I don't necessarily see in Jared Goff's game as often. Now, of course, some of that has to do with protection, things like that. But again, he was getting the ball out faster than any other preseason quarterback. So it was usually he saw the matchup before the snap. He would snap it, start one way, go back the other, and he was taking that shot. He felt like he could take the shot. He had a lot of trust in his ability. And there was a lot of very accurate passes. I feel like as a quarterback, he's got a really nice feel for deep passing leverage. Okay, depending on where the cornerback is, where to put the ball. Do I need to put it to the outside shoulder? Should I throw it to the inside? Should I throw it up? Should I throw it down? Should I put it on a strike? Like, how should I throw this ball? He's got a really good feel for where the defense and where his receiver has leverage and where he needs to put the football to keep it out of harm's way, but also give his receiver a chance to make a play. He's got a lot of really accurate passes. From time to time, occasionally, and we'll get to this, he will have some misses that really are overshot. He'll have balls sail on him, which happens. Deep passes, it's easy to sail those passes. He does give his receivers opportunities, and he draws a lot of pass interference and flags because he will take shots consistently. And he's going to test your defense. And sometimes the defense would stand and they would have really nice coverage, but he wasn't putting it into harm's way very often down the field. He put it where it needed to be to give his receiver a shot. He's going to test you. If you feel like he's got a shot that he could take before the snap, you can expect he's going to take that shot deep. This is not off schedule deep plays. It's a lot on schedule. Pretty athletic. I mean, I'm not going to say he's very athletic. I'm not going to say he's a natural mobile quarterback. He's no RG3 or something like that. I haven't used RG3 in a while, but he's definitely, got some athleticism. You can see when the play breaks down as he attempts to escape. You're usually not seeing him break, off plays for 5, 6, 7 yards when he needs it on the third down. But there is some athleticism there to play in, again, the scheme that I think fits him well. Kind of like a Goff athleticism. That's what I would say. I think he's about as athletic as Jared Goff is. Now let's move on to the weaknesses of his game. All right, the weaknesses I see is, first off, accuracy with pressure. Now, he's very poised, very calm, very collected to stay in the pocket. However, when pressure is very close, the accuracy definitely wavers. One, pressure was coming from his right side, which is his throwing arm, and the pass was way off on an outside route. And the other one I saw was on a short route where the pressure was in his face about a yard away, and he threw it way behind his receiver. So there's definitely an accuracy dip when pressure is in his face. He's not going to panic, but his accuracy definitely takes a drop, okay? It's very inconsistent at times when the pressure is right in his face. He'll stand to the last second, make sure that he can try to deliver the ball where he needs to go, but the accuracy has definitely wavered. And again, that was a long time ago. It was about a year and a half ago, so we'll see where he is now. He can hold on to the ball a little bit too long. Not all the time. Trust me, it's not all the time. There was times where he would give up on the play and, he'd ground it on screen specifically, but there are times where you'd like to see him maybe give on the play a little bit more. If it's not there, just kind of give up on it, because there are times where he'll hold the ball too long and it'll cause a couple of sacks. There was one sack where he tried to take off and he made the first guy miss, but he wasn't able to get further than that, so he lost 2 yards. But, he'll take some sacks. He'll take a few sacks occasionally. It's not all the time. He's not bad with it where he's just standing there like a statue, but, there are occasions where he'll hold the ball too long, which I think is a little bit of pocket presence, which apparently has been great in practice, phenomenal for the Packers, what we've heard. And also, I think he trusts his arm a lot. So he'll trust himself to stand in the pocket. And again, it can be good, but it also can be bad. It can work against him. Deep passes can sail, like I mentioned. He can be very accurate. You can see some really nice passes that are just, drop it right in the bucket. but there are a couple that will sail on him deep. But again, that's not a bad thing because at least it keeps the defender out of the play. I didn't see a lot of passes that were deep that was like throwing it directly into harm's way. Would try to throw away from the defender a lot, which is what you want. You know, you don't want him to put it where the defender can get it, but because of that, because he would try to throw it away from the defender, short, grounders basically, where the ball would just, land a couple yards shy of the receiver, crossing routes over the middle, passes would tend to be short. You would get the occasional, trying to keep it away from the defender, the ball's a little off, the ball's a little underthrown. It was early, it was very early, so that stuff is going to happen, and you got to kind of work out the kinks and things like that, and I think he did. Also, I think personality-wise, leadership, the coaching staff has spoken very highly on his leadership, and you can just see in those 2-minute drills, when he was out there, that he seemed to have very good command of the offense, very good leadership of the offense, which is always super important to be a leader. But there's been a lot of good talk off to the sides from the coaching staff, and how much he's really learned from Aaron Rodgers, and she's developed and really just grown up with the Green Bay Packers since he's been there. So how big that's been for him, we'll know more. We'll probably hear more, we'll see more when he's with the Lions. But there's definitely been a lot of good things that have occurred, and off the field leadership, which is just one of the most important things. It sounds really good. We'll see how that translates to Detroit. Weren't many turnover-worthy plays. The one I did see, usually was when pressure in his face and it was on a play-action rollout and he was just kind of trying to ground it and the pass was off, or there was miscommunication where he would think his receiver would keep dragging and the receiver would stop on his route and he would anticipate the drag. I've seen that with a lot of quarterbacks in the past where the miscommunication, and that can happen, right? You're in preseason, it's early in the year. I think there was any major red flags in his game. Honestly, I didn't see a lot of major red flags. He's got the arm talent. The guy's got a cannon. I mean, he's got a big arm. He's got a bigger arm than David Blau. Heard Goff does. You want a guy that's going to push the ball down the field effortlessly? He can do that. He can make all the throws across the field, keeping the mechanics, and that's something, again, the Packers liked when they brought him in, because it wasn't the stats, it was the ability to love the tight window throws, especially on a deep pass between a safety and a corner. Woo! Those were great. I mean, I love watching those, but it's a big arm. It's able to keep his mechanics. You don't see a lot of off balance, kind of just flicking it sideways. You don't see that. He keeps himself really well. But again, sometimes that can be issues. Off schedule, he's not the same quarterback. Pressure in his face, accuracy can waver. So I see a lot of similarities to Jared Goff's game, where when things are on schedule, when things are in rhythm, I can just walk you down the field. And that really is big in 2-minute drills because he's got a plan, he snaps it, he's got the arm talent, and he's moving the ball down the field. A lot of confidence in his arm ability. There were a lot of drops. There were a lot of drops, man. And I get it. He's not playing with the starters. Usually the rule is if you touch it, you should catch it, especially if you're not getting smacked after it hits your hands. Okay? If it's not that, usually you got to catch that ball, right? It's not like he's throwing a rocket in there where it's like, oh my gosh, it's too hot to handle. Like, he's giving you opportunities. Some of these are easier than others. Notice in the preseason, you're usually not playing against a lot of complex defenses, a lot of complex zone looks, man looks, crazy blitzes. It's usually pretty vanilla. You'll see blitzes, you'll see maybe some zone mixed in at time, but a lot of times it's matchups. You want to see your guys against someone else. So for Tim Boyle, it was more about just raw. It was raw. Hey, one-on-one, can you make that pass? Can you fit it in the tight windows when we see you on the field? Sure, in practice, he may have worked against more complex zones, things like that, but not necessarily you see that in preseason games. So that is the big difference between regular games. Sure, there's more pressure. Sure, they mean a lot more, and you're playing against better talent, but there also is more complex defenses. There's more scheme that's getting thrown into this than necessarily you're getting in the preseason. But still, players-wise, guys that are trying to fight for the team, you could easily make the case that he's going against better talent than anywhere you play in college football. So he's going against talent. He's going against guys that are of all different ages trying to fight for a spot on an NFL roster. Maybe they've been there before, maybe they haven't. But he's going against guys that want to play just like he does, that are fighting for a spot. There is a lot here for only being 26 years old, and for how much he really struggled in college, to see what he looked like in the preseason, clearly there was a big jump. Clearly the backup competition got the best out of him, and hopefully that's the case here where he comes in with the mindset, I'm going to beat Jared Goff for this starting role. Not saying that he should, but that should be his mindset. I'm taking this number one role for Jared Goff, and if he comes in like that, just like he did with Green Bay, where he was like, hey, I'm beating out this guy named Jordan Love for the backup role, this guy's got a legitimate shot to go to a very high level. He's the same age as Goff. Of course, some of the obvious issues here, he's never played in a real game, right? I mean, he's never played in an actual regular season game and had to start as a quarterback. He's definitely playing against guys that are going at it, and so is he. So I can see the potential here, man. I can definitely see why he's exciting, and he gives you that big arm and that ability to just take the shots down the field. Things are on schedule and things are in rhythm like Goff. You can see the scheme fit here. People have ranked him above starters in the past, and it's like, why? He's not even playing, because they've seen what he does in the preseason. And of course, he's just not going to play because Aaron Rodgers is in front of him, right? But the fact that he's beat out DeShone Kizer, the fact that he's beat out Jordan Love for a backup role, is telling. It's very telling. So I think the Lions got a nice value here. I really do, with how cheap this contract was for a guy that's got an opportunity and 1 year to see, hey, is it legit? You know, how can he fit in the scheme? I see the scheme fit being here. I see why the Lions target him. But hey, how legit is he in practice? You know, what's his personality like? Those are all things that you don't know because we don't have ties to him like we do with other guys that we've signed. So there will be those questions, but there's a lot of potential with this game, and you'll see it if you watch him. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.